how to get through this post without laughing. So, wait, number one, am I the only one that has a problem with this? Wait, so, by the way, this is not even about Donald Trump. You're telling me that these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these 7 people here have made a decision that whoever wanted to vote for Donald Trump in Colorado now can't. Joe Biden is down 70-something%. Joe Biden is so behind the polls. So I got a great idea. Let's just get rid of the competition. Nobody else has a problem with this, but we're going to talk about our security of democracy. That Donald Trump threatens it, but these people don't.
Yes, I just enjoy what this guy is doing here. When you take a look at the way liberals are melting down on social media, partaking to this, watching Raskin recently, he said they are not yet done. They are still looking into it in Congress. If Donald Trump can be banned, which they did not succeed, they thought the Supreme Court would take the final decision. Now it came out that Trump can be on the ballot. The meltdown can stop. According to this article, Newsweek recently put out.
I am working with a number of my colleagues, including Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Eric Swalwell, to revive legislation that we had to set up a process by which we could determine that someone who committed insurrection is disqualified by Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. And the House of Representatives already impeached Donald Trump for participating in insurrection by inciting it. So the House has already pronounced upon that. And
the U.S. Supreme Court ruling on Donald Trump's eligibility to appear on Colorado ballot for the 2024 presidential election races an important question for Congress, according to attorney and legal commentator on CNN Newsroom with Jim Acosta, said that a reporter should now be asking members of Congress questions if they will be willing to pass legislation to clearly define what and means. So you will see exactly what is going on, because they did not succeed. Now it is going back to Congress, which we all know they cannot do anything at this time. It is impossible. I don't want to talk much. Let me play this video so you can see exactly what is going on. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please endeavor to do that. If possible, it will do you no harm if you share out this video.
The bottom line is they all agreed that Trump's arguments would carry the day in this case. I don't think that is a surprising result. After the arguments, where I think they all signaled they were highly skeptical of state efforts to disqualify a presidential candidate. The Chief Justice, for example, saying that essentially you would let one state dictate, or a handful of states dictate the outcome of the election. So I don't think this is a surprise. The Colorado Supreme Court was kind of off on a trip of their own with this ruling. Other state courts that had decided it had went a different outcome. So here we are. The decision now unanimous in agreement that Trump's arguments will carry the day. He cannot be disqualified from state ballots.
You know, look, unfortunately for America, the court isn't necessarily wrong that this is the way the framers wanted it to be. They wanted Congress, the people who are closest to their constituents, to be able to make the rules and the laws. That doesn't change the fact that because of gerrymandering in the House and all kinds of other issues, they're not doing their job on a lot of these big issues.
Yeah. I agree. It's very unlikely, close to impossible that Congress will take action. But this is now a fair question that Manu Raju, Melanese, and Ona should be asking members of Congress. Are you willing to pass legislation that would give us rules for how this works. It could only be in the future, by the way.
Well, but we also have to realize that the Supreme Court you grew up with, we grew up with largely, is a very different Supreme Court. This is a Supreme Court.
This is more like the Supreme Court I grew up with.
Well, this is very partisan. Supreme Court justices used to get confirmed by 90-some votes.
Yeah. Well,
now they get confirmed on a strict party line.
Yeah.
And so
it's partisan. Yeah.
Well. Sometimes it was.
Yeah.
But, you know, when it was all men voting for all men, we ended up with the Grand Wizard. You know, we ended up with all kinds of people on the bench.
We did.
Now, they all evolved, I will say.
Yeah.
Most of them evolved and became really interesting jurists. But I have always known that there was that possibility. And what I grew up watching, I watched when the first women were getting in. I watched when women were breaking those ceilings. And now I'm watching people shut those ceilings down, as well as removing history. We are in the process of removing history. There's a lot going on, and we have normalized it. And I guess what my point might be is this really comes down to us. You're going to hear a lot about polls coming up over the next couple of months. The only poll that you need to be concerned with is what's happening in your local areas, because those are the people who are making the decisions for you. You got to get out there.
Yes, when you take a look at this article, on Monday, the U.S. Supreme Court reached a 9-10 decision to side with Trump and overturn a decision by the Colorado Supreme Court that the former president should be removed from the state ballot in the 2024 elections for his alleged role in the January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol. In August, the former president was indicted by the Department of Justice. When I read this, putting out by Newsweek, it is just insane. The Supreme Court in Colorado previously ruled that Trump was ineligible to appear on the state 2024 election ballot because he violated the 14th Amendment, which states that any individual holding office that engaged in or rebellion should be stopped from ruling for any office in the future. However, Trump appealed the case to the U.S. Supreme Court and was victorious on Monday. The decision comes just ahead of Super Tuesday, a major day in the 2024 primary elections where Trump is set to face off against the Republican challenger, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, in several states. Okay, you can see exactly what is going on here. Liberals are having a problem, like the Supreme Court rashly came in to rule in favor of Trump because of the election that is coming up in this state. It is insane. They are now asking the Supreme Court to also rush about Trump immunity claim so they can take him to court. That is what they're asking, like what I've seen on Twitter. Totally insane. It is high time people see this. It's high time people understand exactly what is going on. Thank you guys for always being there, sharing out my videos. God bless you abundantly. I noticed something. A lot of people say, oh, Omoge, you don't cover this topic. You don't do this. Sometimes I don't really like to go deep into these mainstream media topics. Yeah, when they are reporting on something, I look for loopholes where they are not reporting, to bring information that you will hardly see them covering. Reason you see me, I always bring what you don't know. My plea is just you share the video. When I put out, it helps, the algorithm to promote it into different locations.